Welcome to another exciting edition of the P&B Sports Show. I'm your host, Abel Sunday. The FIFA World Cup knockout stage continues to deliver unforgettable drama. Norway edged Ivory Coast 2-1 in a thrilling contest, while France stamped their authority with a commanding 3-0 victory over Sweden. Joining me today is sport analyst Mary J as we break down the defining moment, tactical battle, standout performance, and what this result means for the road ahead. Stay with us as going to be an exciting show. Don't go anywhere.
Countdown is over. The world is ready. From June 11th to July 19th, football takes center stage as the biggest FIFA World Cup in history unfold across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. 48 nations, 104 matches, countless moments of drama, passion, and glory. Join Abel Sunday and the P&B TV Sports team as we bring you exclusive preview, expert analysis, match review, breaking stories, and everything you need to know from the FIFA World Cup 2026. Who will rise? Who will fall? Which nation will lift football's most coveted trophy? From the group stage battle to the grand finale, P&B TV is your home for the road to World Cup glory. Don't miss a moment of the action. Tune in daily from June 11, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. through July 19th with comprehensive World Cup coverage. FIFA World Cup 2026 on P&B TV. One word, one game, one champion. P&B TV bringing the beautiful game closer to you. For sponsorship, contact Abel Sunday on 081 499 15988.
Welcome back. It's the P&B Sports Show reaching live from the nation's capital, and I'm being joined by Mary J, audio from Port Harcourt. Mary, good morning. How is Port Harcourt this morning?
Well, good morning to you. Port Harcourt is calm. The weather is very, very cold, and we're just enjoying the weather here.
Yeah, enjoying the weather. I heard it was very wet yesterday in Port Harcourt, but I think we're having a bit of sun here in Abuja.
Yeah, sometimes when you have the sun, you wish for the rain. When you have the rain,
yeah, like our local politics, they say, always balance. Life, no balance. So there are some parts that sometimes you want it cold and sometimes you want it hot. But all the time, let's dive into the conversation. Yesterday, we saw what transpired between Norway and Ivory Coast. A lot of people said that Ivory Coast is going to push through because of their resilience, their fight, they are strong and stuff like that. But I think mostly you can analyze, but it's the team that wants it most on the pitch that will always do the needful and get the result. But from your end, Merit, did the clinical efficiency beat dominance? Because Ivory Coast controlled the possession and won 14 corners, but Norway won the game. Well, like, how can you make up of that?
Well, it was, first of all, it was an exciting game for Cote d'Ivoire and Norway going head to head. And it was one of the fixtures featuring the African teams in the round of 32 that many people consider to be a big balance. Because, Norway, for all their efficiency and all the stars they have in the team, the likes of Erling Haaland, Cote d'Ivoire had a team that has, sort of picked up the pace from like 3 years ago when they won the AFCON on home soil. So it was an evenly matched game. But at the end of the day, in football, it is always what you do with the ball, not how long you keep hold of the ball. We know that these days, especially club sides, favor possession-based football, and that is so that they can have opportunities to execute. For Cote d'Ivoire yesterday, they had the lion's share of ball possession, had more shots, more attempts of goal, had more corner kicks. So in an attacking sense, they did more, than Norway did. But Norway were more clinical. And I think I've mentioned this before, especially from the second game when Cote d'Ivoire played against Germany. they had opportunities to put that game to bed. Efficiency cost them in that one, and sadly, efficiency has cost them a game yesterday. But I think it's something that they would learn from. They have a young squad. They have young players, not quite in the prime years of the likes of TJ Drogba and Solomon Kalou that we had. Perhaps that is one area they need to address. The strikers position. Looking at Cote d'Ivoire, the Elephants, we usually have the likes of DJ Drogba in that squad, who was a clinical finisher. And then we had Wilfred Bony in the squad, who also held his own down for the squad. But now we're having youngsters who are not really the finished product yet. Jan Bony, who played in the center forward position yesterday, is just, he plays a big part role for the club, Inter Milan in Italy. Is probably their third or their fourth choice striker. You take him to the World Cup and you give him the responsibility of leading the line. Definitely inexperience will play a part, and I think that is what cost Cote d'Ivoire. The experience of their front men to be clinical in key moments. I think that's what's cost them. But I see a bright future for Cote d'Ivoire. Like I mentioned, they have a young squad. Yangon is 22 years old. He's going to grow. He's going to mature. He's going to get experience. There's Yan Diomande, who's 19 years old. There's Amad Diallo, who's 23. There's Eli Wahi, who's 22 years old. So, give these guys a couple more years. Hopefully, they're back at the next World Cup and see a better Cote d'Ivoire team.
Okay, well, but let's talk about Haaland. Haaland had very few touch all game on the ball all game, but I think he delivered the 86th minute winner. I think he scored when it matters. How can you say about that? And you talked about experience, and you talked about being clinical, and that's why I want to bring Alan to the equation. How do you see? How can you how can you rate Haaland in this tournament or yesterday's performance as a whole? How can you rate his performance so far? Despite that, he was not really with the ball like that, but the time that he could get it, he scored when it actually matters.
Sometimes as football fans, analysts, we watch these football games and we start asking questions of the managers, especially when you have a player that you expect so much from. And it doesn't seem to be doing quite well. You start asking for substitutions. But sometimes we ask ourselves, why do these managers keep these players on the pitch even when they are not performing at their optimal best? Yesterday answered that question. You have a player like Erling Haaland, like you said, he's not had so much of the ball. He's not really done so much in the game. But you keep him there for moments like this because he doesn't need to have 50 touches in the opposition box. He doesn't need to be in the center of attention, to be in the midst of play all the time. He only needs one good opportunity. Sometimes even from a half chance, a player with the quality and experience of Erling Haaland can make things happen. That's exactly what he did yesterday. And even the goal, the match that he scored, wasn't so much out of his own effort. It was just the brilliance of knowing where to be at the right. That's how Erling Haaland got the winner for Norway yesterday. It seemed even easy. It was just a tapping for him. But it was important. It's important when you have such a player with such quality and experience to leave him on the pitch because they know, they read the game, they pick their battles, they know how to position themselves. And Erling Haaland, what can we say? 60 goals in 53 international games for the Norwegian national team. His stock just keeps rising.
I totally agree with you, Merit. I think I agree with you in that because a lot of people will ask, why is it that you are keeping this guy and he's not really doing so well? But all what he needs is just that one chance, and when he gets that one chance, he's going to bury it for good. But can Norway survive Brazil with this low block defense? Do you think they will be able to do anything against the Brazilians when they meet in the round of 16?
Well, you have to give them a fair chance because this is the World Cup, this is knockout football, and like we usually say with football, generally sports, anything can happen. But I think they will have their work cut out for them, the Norwegian team. If they choose to play a low block against the Brazilian defense, interestingly, we haven't even seen any team doing such a low block against Brazil. The only team that tried it were Scotland, and Brazil beat them. Morocco came out to play against Brazil. Even in the final game, Brazil played, against Japan. Japanese came out their last game. Japanese came out to play against Brazil, And when Japan got that first goal and decided to play a more conservative game, they allowed Brazil so much time on the ball, and eventually Brazil beat them by 2-1. I don't think the Norwegian defense is as solid enough to stop Brazil. We're talking about players with experience, with pace, with individual brilliance who can conjure up something special, the likes of Vinicius Junior, Matheus Cunha, Alan, who is putting in a good shape for the Brazilian side, and who knows, if he's fit enough, they might could get a shout at the round of 16. So I think the Norwegian defense is going to be seriously tested against Brazil. They will fancy their chances, but if they play the same way they played yesterday against Cote d'Ivoire, then I think that will be their last football match at this point.
Indeed, that will be their last football, and probably pack their bags and go back to where they are coming from, then prepare for 2030. But let's talk about Nusa's opening goal. Can you see Nusa as one of, should I say, can you see him as a prospect in this team?
Yeah, for sure. Antonio Nusa, since the tournament started for Norway, I mean, most of the headlines have been built around Erling Haaland, and for the right reason, because he has earned that right to be the poster boy of the Norwegian national team. We can also talk about Martin Odegaard, the Arsenal captain, who's running the show from the middle of the park. But Antonio Nusa breathes life into the Norwegian offense. Erling Haaland, because of the attention that he always has bodies around him. Now 1, 2, or 3 players surrounding Erling Haaland, which provides room for players like Nusa, who is very, very quick and also a smart player, to operate. Take, for instance, the goal he scored yesterday. When he received that ball at the edge of the box, it was just a 1v1 situation because most of the attention was on Erling Haaland. Perhaps the Ivorian defense expected Nusa to play in a pass for Erling Haaland, but with just that little opening, he showed his own quality, calling the ball into the top of the net. So, for sure, Antonio Nusa is very important to the way that Norway, Ola Solbakken has set up this Norwegian national team.
Yeah, but Merit, I want you to touch on this. As a coach, pinpointing one player to focus on one player, don't you think that's a total disaster? Or do you think it can be a tactical adjustment or tactical approach to any game? If I just look at the star man and just have to just pinpoint him, forgetting that we have other guys that can also do the damage.
Well, sometimes it works, but it's not the best strategy because, like you just mentioned, now the team is made up of 11 of, let's say, 10 outfield players, and if you pay too much attention to just one player, you give room for the other players to step up and hurt you. We know that there are cases where if a team has one outlet, and you block that outlet, sometimes it works, but in the case of Norway, or so many other teams at this World Cup, who have key players who have standout performance, there are also players in that squad that are capable of it. So I think it was not the best decision for Cote d'Ivoire yesterday to pay so much attention to Erling Haaland. Of course, you can't really blame them because Haaland is Haaland. You give him an inch, he'll take the yard. But when you focus so much on one player, you leave room for the other players to perform. And that's what Antonio Nusa showed his first goal. Brilliant goal by him.
All right, it's still P&B Sports Show reaching live from the nation's capital. It's time for us to go on a short break. And when we come back, Mary J is here to complete the remaining part of the segment. And we'll be talking about France and how France demolish Sweden. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
The countdown is over. The world is ready. From June 11th to July 19th, football takes center stage as the biggest FIFA World Cup in history unfold across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. 48 nations, 104 matches, countless moments of drama, passion, and glory. Join Abel Sunday and the P&B TV Sports team as we bring you exclusive preview, expert analysis, match review, breaking stories, and everything you need to know from the FIFA World Cup 2026. Who will rise? Who will fall? Which nation will lift football's most coveted trophy? From the group stage battle to the grand finale, P&B TV is your home for the road to World Cup glory. Don't miss a moment of the action. Tune in daily from June 11, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. through July 19th with comprehensive World Cup coverage. FIFA World Cup 2026 on P&B TV. One word, one game, one champion. P&B TV bringing the beautiful game closer to you. For sponsorship, contact Email Sunday on 081 499 15988. The countdown is over.
Welcome back. It's the P&B World Cup show reaching live from the nation's capital, and Mary J is very much with me, and together we've been analyzing the game that went down yesterday, and we'll be talking about the France versus Sweden game. Merit, do you see France as one of the title contender? Let's start with that before we go into the game yesterday. Do you see them as one of the title contender?
Certainly. France, they are, for me, from my point of view, I think they are the number one team at this World Cup. When you talk about a team that can go on and win the World Cup, they are the number one. And I'm not just flattered saying that because I'm flattered by the quality that they have in the squad. I'm also saying that because of the generation of French players that we had. Remember in 2018, they won this FIFA World Cup.
Yeah.
They were back in the final in 2022.
True.
I don't remember the last time a team made consecutive finals at the FIFA World Cup. France did it in 2018 and 2022. Perhaps I think the last time that happened was the Brazilian team.
Yeah.
With back-to-back finals. France did that in 2018 and then got to the finals in 2022. The 2022 finals, they lost out on penalties because Lionel Messi was brilliant in that final, as was Kylian Mbappe. It was a goal fest back and forth between both teams. They could have won the FIFA World Cup, retained the title in 2022. And then fast forward to 2026, we're looking at this French team, and it looks even more formidable than it was in 2022 because we have exciting young players who have come through the ranks and are holding their own in world football at the highest level of world football right now. So, for sure, France, number one team, as far as I'm concerned, are favorites to win this World Cup. We can talk about Argentina, last year's finalists, and last edition's winner being in the mix as well. We can also mention Spain, we can mention England, but above all these teams, France remain for me the number one contender to win this FIFA World Cup.
Actually, Kylian Mbappe is officially unstoppable in World Cup knockout stage, but his double brings him to a record-breaking 10 knockout stage goals. Looking at this guy again, and Kylian Mbappe on fire, like you rightly said. If you look at the front line of the French team, it's very dangerous. Like no team will want to play these guys at this point in time. But let me get your take on Kylian Mbappe as he's breaking records going forward, and he's now joined. I think he's chasing the golden boot now because him and Messi, I think they are joint. They have same amount of goals being scored.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Kylian Mbappe, love him or hate him, he is who he is, and who he is a player for the big stages, a player for the big moments, and a player who is unstoppable. He's proven many times that he's unstoppable. Especially at the World Cup. I don't know if there is a special affinity with Kylian Mbappe at the FIFA World Cup. You know, won the World Cup as a teenager in 2018, and 8 years later, he is still one of the biggest players at the World Cup. Remember last edition of the World Cup, he scored 8 goals to clinch the Golden Boot. The last time a player scored 8 goals to clinch the Golden Boot was Ronaldo de Lima in 2002. You know, he scored 5 goals at previous editions of the World Cup. You can even win the Golden Boot with 5 goals. Or with 4 goals. Already at this edition of the World Cup, he scored 5 goals. Tied with Lionel Messi, 5 or 6 goals.
6 goals. 6 goals. Yeah.
6 goals already. So
yeah.
This young man is unstoppable. He is the poster boy of the French national team. He's leading the line and he's leading by example. He talked about in the post match yesterday after the victory over Sweden, when he was asked about the race for the Golden Boot between him and Lionel Messi. What he said was what a true team player would say. He said he doesn't care so much about winning the Golden Boots. What he cares about is winning the World Cup. And with the way Kylian Mbappe and the French national team have gone about their business, of course, they are one of the front runners for the FIFA World Cup.
Well, honestly, Merit, if we do not talk about Michael Olise, I think it will not be fair. now highest assist in the competition so far. He has given the highest assist so far. This young man tear defense apart with his passes. Looking at this guy, this is a guy that can easily could have played for the Super Eagles, isn't it? But look at Olise, the quality of that guy. What can you say about Michael Olise?
Well, Lise could have played for the Super Eagles, could have played for Algeria, he could
Yeah.
have played for England as well as France. You know, he's a multinational guy and he is a fantastic talent. You know, this kind of players that you refer to as a generational talent. He makes playing football look very easy. You know, even his stature, his physique, he's not a bullish kind of player. Takes his game very easy, but also very effective. 2 assists yesterday, taking his assist tally to 5 assists already. 5 assists from 5 games, from 4 games at the 2026 Super World Cup. It's an incredible mark to reach for the youngster, playing a first major role, I would say, for the French national team. He's carried on with his form from Bayern Munich into the FIFA World Cup. And when you have a player, I think it's so smart of Didier Deschamps to play Michael Olise in the role that he's using him so far, just behind the striker. That's why you want to have somebody as creative as Michael Olise, you know, to feed the front men, the likes of Ousmane Dembele, the likes of Kylian Mbappe, with those, you know, defense splitting passes that give you goals. We saw the pass for Bradley Bokola's goal yesterday. I mean, he completely obliterated the defense with that pass. He did the same thing for Kylian Mbappe's second goal. If we talk about Kylian Mbappe being unstoppable, then you also have to worry about Michael Olise because, as far as I'm concerned, he will always show up. No matter what you do, he will always show up.
He's the engine room. He creates all those passes. He creates those environment for. Even look at the first goal, Mbappe's first goal against what was their first team they played again? I can't remember in this World Cup. That pass was just something like it